honor to be able to conduct the Q&A with Faith Beaty today, and representing the B Association, representing Baylor alumni. It is great to have this opportunity, Faith, to talk to you with folks tuned in via Zoom and listening and watching to us. Are you a Zoom expert now? Have you become very adept at Zoom calls?
No, not really. It's, there's so many tools out there. I think we could say we're more adept at video conferencing calls because of all of the tools, but Zoom has made it so much more enjoyable. Lots of fun things you can do with Zoom now.
That's true. Very good. Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for being with us, and we look forward to a conversation. And as Paul and Walter said, if you watching have any questions, just use that Q&A function at the bottom of the screen and type your question in, and we'll funnel that right to Faith. But Faith, let's get going. I always think, Faith Beaty, yes, but I remember Faith Cedarholm because you and I were in school at the same time, and Walter was in school here at Baylor at the same time. And it has been a few years ago for both of us, for all of us, but I can remember very vividly you with Baylor basketball during that time. Let's on the record say you were here in 1978 and 1979, but how did you get to Baylor? You're from Duncanville High School. How did you get to Baylor?
That's an interesting question because, for basketball at that time, this is dating us, of course, my age, but 1978 was the last year that Texas played women's basketball of 6-man. And so that was really one of those good things that changed, but I had played all my career as a guard. And as a guard, that meant you didn't shoot. Well, when you go into basketball in college, now you have to learn to shoot. So for me to get a scholarship at Baylor, that was a God thing, I believe. He had a plan on how he wanted all of that to happen. And I had a great coach, Coach Sandra Meadows, who was able to really promote me to the different schools around in Texas and around the country. And so I had a couple of offers, but walking on the campus at Baylor, meeting Dutch Schroeder. I mean, how can you not say this is the place you need to be? A man who loves athletes, who loves the university, who sees good in everything that we as Baylor have to offer. So that's what got me to Baylor, and I am so thankful for that opportunity.
Interesting. So 78 was the year, right? That would have been the last year of the basically half-court 3-on-3 for women's basketball.
Yes, and in Texas, I think Oklahoma went one more year. And an interesting fact here was Dr. Livingstone and I both played against each other in high school and didn't realize it until we were talking the other day. And she played on the Oklahoma All-Stars, and I played on the Texas All-Stars, and we played against each other in Plainview, Texas, in that 1978 All-Star game. So it was kind of interesting. I was looking back for pictures to see if I could see what she looked like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let us know if you find any of those pictures, okay?
Oh, I will. I will.
We need copies of those for sure.
Yeah.
That's a great memory. And you come to Baylor and you sort of, you were defensive oriented. It's kind of a different game, isn't it? Or you have to sort of adapt your game to the way it's being played at college.
It was totally different mentally for me. From a defensive perspective, it was just easy to do because that was, it was like second nature. It was more difficult, logically, you know how to shoot. Okay, you got to hold the ball in this correct position. You need to shoot the whole bit. But actually getting into the position in the game where everyone's coming at you, it was a learning curve for me, really, really strong learning curve. And Dutch told me one day, he saw me practice his faith. The thing that you can control is your effort. Not, the rest of the things around you, you can't control that much, but you can control how much effort you put into it. He was so right. He gave me inspiration to try harder. And by about maybe the 10th game into my freshman year, I had been able to accomplish getting at least, 15 points a game, and rebounding was something I could do. So I didn't have to think about that, but that shooting part of it, the teamwork part was fine. I could handle that one as well. So it was a learning curve, but it was one of those things that I think has also helped me in where I am today and what I've been able to accomplish throughout my life. Those were times that made me who I was. I could have just said, well, I'll never learn this, or I can't get it. But no, every time I failed, I'd figure out, how did I fail? Why did I fail? What didn't I do right? And then that helped me to be able to accomplish more. So that's it was good. It was good for me.
Very good. You played for, you mentioned the legendary Sandra Meadows at Duncanville High School. You come here and played for Olga Fallen here at Baylor. I'm curious, how were they similar or different, or what was that transition like for you?
That transition was, of course, as a freshman, there's a transition anyways, because all of a sudden you're out on your own. It was quite a bit of a transition because Sandra Meadows was a very strong fundamentals coach. It was all about get the fundamentals down. You need to be able to dribble well. You need to be able to shoot well. You need to play defense. Defense was king. So her and Kim Mulkey would have just been best buddies because, I mean, it was all about you win with defense.
Right.
I mean, so, and we did. We won all the time. And so we had crowds all when we played in Duncanville. There were large crowds at the Duncanville gyms to see us play. When we came to Baylor, it was a little bit of a shock in one sense because we came and we played in the Mars McLean gym. They just updated it, but it was smaller than the gym that we played in when we were in high school. And myself and Christy Capps came from Duncanville, and Carol Reeves, who played at that same time, she played at Bryan Adams, and we had played her in high school, and fabulous athlete. So I think for all of us, it was a little bit of a change coming to Baylor and that environment. We were used to being seen by many people during a game. So the interesting thing was, then we got to play at the Heart of Texas Coliseum. Yeah. And the reason we got to play there, of course, was because it was before the men's game. So we played at 5:15, the men played at 7:30. And that was the time, as you remember, we had Terry Teagle, we had Pat Nunley, we had Wendell Mays, we had Vinnie Johnson. Okay, who wouldn't want to come and get a seat? So they'd come early, and they ended up having to watch us play, which was fine. Then we got the crowd involved, and it made a big difference in a couple of the games that we played. So it was fun because that was a time when women's athletics were just beginning to, I think, really take hold as a sport that had was in the NCAA. I mean, we were still in AIAW at that time. Right. I think in 1980 or 81, it went to NCAA. And then I think that made a big difference for athletics for women at Baylor. So I look at us as setting a foundation. Really, Susie Snyder-Eppers and that team set the big foundation. We were just a bunch of freshmen and sophomore coming in, trying to not lose all of the good things that they had done and keep the team going and with the momentum that was needed to build for the future.
You didn't play with Susie, did you? Was she finished right before you got here?
She finished right before I got here, yeah.
But,
and so,
go ahead.
There were 2 seniors that were on our team. The rest of us were freshmen and sophomore. So it was a tough time for us. We were playing against a lot of older, more seasoned, not older as an age, but older as an experience. You know, juniors and seniors, having played out there a while, really make a big difference to freshmen and sophomores. And so that was a good learning experience too. But we had Mamie Mock, she was awesome. And we had Gwen Miller, who she was able to get a year back of eligibility. And if we hadn't have had her experience that very first year, while we tried to gain experience for Michelle Cooper, who was also a guard from the Robinson area. She was an awesome guard, but you know, she was a freshman as well. So it takes a little bit of practice out there against the big girls, if you will, to be able to get in the swing of things. So we had 2 seniors, but most of it was freshmen and sophomores.
I got you. Well, okay. Learning experience, transition in a lot of ways for you when you got here. You talk about playing at the Heart of Texas Coliseum. Those of us who remember those games remember it fondly. We were glad to move to the Farrell Center when we did.
Yes.
But it kind of had its own ambiance, its own charm, and maybe a real home court advantage that we didn't realize.
I think you're right. I mean, I remember it being so loud and also hot. We called it the hot box. Do you remember? I mean, it was so hot because I don't think there was air conditioning or something. I don't know if it was. It wasn't working ever. But it did give you that sound and that loud. And I think people were fairly close, if I can remember. It's been a long time. Were they close enough to
Yeah, pulled in bleachers, it's in the
Yeah,
middle of the rodeo arena, obviously,
right,
but pulled in
right.
bleachers on both sides to make it as close, as possible. So yeah, there were,
Yeah.
there were bleachers close.
Yeah, it was kind of like that Kansas experience,
Yeah.
they're right there in the Rock'em Chalk, whatever that Jayhawk thing is, that they do, but they're right there on the field with you, on the floor with you. And that's what's kind of how it was until you felt like you're right there with it. So that was good. But I like the Farrell Center. Farrell Center's nice.
I love the Farrell Center. I don't think the Heart of Texas Coliseum has ever been compared to Allen Fieldhouse before, but it has now. And it was either hot, you're right, it was either hot or freezing.
Yes, because
Remember
right.
practices out there in the middle of the winter, it was freezing in that big old barn.
Yep, that's what it was. It was a barn that they put seats in. Yeah. So
Yeah, it was.
yeah.
So you come to Baylor and first day of class, you said maybe your first class, your first day of class, you're making friends, you're meeting people. Lo and behold, here's a Baylor football player named Mike Beaty that's there. And you meet him the first day. And here you are, married for all these years. What a great story.
Oh, I mean, I tell you what, if it weren't for Mike Beaty, I would not be anywhere where I would be today, because he is the most supportive partner. And I say partner very seriously, because we are a partnership. Whatever we do, it's not like Mike says we're going to do this or Faith says we're going to do this. We talk about it and we say, hey, this is something that we believe strongly in, and we're a team. And being athletes, I think that team concept has always been there for us. That to accomplish anything great, as a team, you need to work together. It's not one person leads and everyone else follows. It's you work as a team and you help it accomplish. So that first day in class, it was, I think it was Rufus Spain's class that we both were in. It was, and every year for the longest time, we'd go back whenever we were on campus and we'd see Rufus and we'd tell him, we met in your class, And so look what you did. See this 40 years ago this year. We've been married for 40 years.
Oh, that's fantastic.
3 sons. 3 grandchildren with a 4th on the way. So
nice.
it's been great, and I think we'll stay together maybe another 40 years.
Another
so.
40. That's good. Yeah, give it a go for another 40. That's great. Well, I know what you mean about you and Mike being a team, because I've seen that through the years. Working with the B Association, just being at games, being at events. Y'all are a real team in every sense of the word.
Yeah, thank you. He is special. I'll keep it.
Very good. And he was part of the football team, so you were both student athletes during your time here at Baylor. What do you remember about campus from your time here, and look at how things have changed so much since you were a student here?
I'll just point out just a couple, because Mike and those football players also will remember. Remember the weight room. The good weight room was out at the stadium.
Right.
But when you think about what that weight room looked like comparatively to what we have today, there's, that weight room looked like the one you might have in your gym. I mean, in your garage. No, but but I remember that when they built the new science building, that was just phenomenal. And the stadium, there was no stadium for us before. So, I mean, it's just awe-inspiring now what we've been able to do and to provide for the students, and to really put us on the same footing as other universities. And it's all been, I think, due to the donors and to the love that the Baylor alumni have for the university. And it's a special place. It really is a special place. 2 of our sons went there. One went to Howard Payne. That's okay. We love Howard Payne as well. So it really is a special university, and you build great students, student athletes, and leaders out in the communities that really can shine the light for God, as well as for the university and the benefits that it can bring. So,
yeah, amen to that. That's great. So the campus has changed quite a bit. Our athletic facilities have changed through those years as well. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts about women's athletics and how that has changed. I mean, you were here sort of at the foundational level. I mean, you weren't, not everybody on your team was on scholarship or full scholarship, were they?
Sorry, no, we really weren't. And I didn't realize a lot of that when I was there. It's just over the years, after I'd finished playing basketball and then became back involved in Baylor in multiple different ways, then I started to realize what we had at that time, and what an honor I had that I didn't really even realize at that time. There were only on my freshman team, I think there were only 4 full-time scholarships. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there was only 4 full-time scholarships. And we were playing against other teams that had a lot more.
Yeah.
So I was thankful that I was one of those recipients because it made a difference in my life. My parents were missionaries. We had many children in my family, and we could not have afforded for me to go and play anywhere. And I really believe that God had a hand in every step of that way, whether it was being a guard, getting a scholarship in the first place. I think right there was I look back now, I think, boy, that was really strange, because you would want to put it for those people. It's a full court game. You want someone to score because you need the scoring. So I was thankful that they realized that defense was an important factor in that as well. And they took the chance on me. So I was thankful for that. And of course, everything changes. And that's good, because you need to change, because you need to advance. Because if you stay the same and expect things to be different, then, it's kind of, I think, in that situation of insanity. You continue to do the same things, but you expect different results. It's not going to happen. So Baylor has made changes over the years, and maybe they might not have been all the way that I wanted them to be, but that doesn't mean that they weren't always in the right decision to move forward, just like within a business and a company. I might be good for the leadership that brought me in for whatever that position is, but then as we transfer, as we grow and make different strategies and plans, then my position might not be what's needed at that time. So that can be for athletes as well. We have changes in coaches. That makes a little bit of an uncertainty for some student athletes. Am I valuable anymore? Am I of value? I think the most important lesson that I learned from that, my value is not based on what anyone else thinks. My value is based on what God thinks about me, and then what I can do on a daily basis. And as a Christian, what are we supposed to be doing? The very best that we can at whatever we do. And for me, that meant if I was playing basketball or if I was in class. And I wish I could say I was always doing the very best that I could in class. I had some professors that were so good, that took care of me even when I was making stupid mistakes. Not saying they gave me a grade. They helped me by helping me learn what I needed to learn, or helping me to prioritize my time. Because we didn't have the benefits that the student athletes have now of the nice guided learning opportunities that we had. Here, imagine this, we're in a van, there's 14 of us in this van, we've got the lights on above us, we've got our books in front of us here as we're studying, and we're driving to that next location, because we're not flying on especially airplanes, that we're driving. And who's driving us? It's the coach, it's the trainer. So that's what life was like for us as athletes, but we didn't really know any difference. I thought it was kind of fun. It was nice. It built that camaraderie between the teammates. It really cemented those friendships over time. And it also taught you that you need to prioritize your time. You need to, as student athletes, that was our job. Student and athlete, right? It's not like we get to go to Baylor and have parties and all of that. No, we had to go because we were student athlete. We had to do well, at least make a certain grade for the student part of it, as well as try to excel as the athlete part of it. And what better opportunity, whether you make it in the pros or not, to help set you up for success in business. How, as a student athlete, how to better prepare yourself than most students graduating out of college. Because you've learned how to work as a team, you've learned to collaborate well, and you've learned to be sacrificed sometimes and let someone else score that point when maybe you thought you should have. But because the team needed to win, because you are a team player, then you're going to let them do that. Maybe they took the glory that time when really you wanted the glory, but it was a team. So those are things that we've had to learn as athletes that are so valuable in the workforce. So even if we don't make it as a professional athlete, we're not all Walters. You know, I'd love to have my goal as an 18-year-old coming into Baylor. I was going to be a professional basketball player. Do you realize there was no professional basketball playing at that time? Okay. So, I mean, yes, we did start the league, you know, that next year, and it folded after a little bit. Dean Weiss was the coach for that very first group of professional league that went on. But still, I guess what I'm trying to say is, as a student athlete, there's very few of us that go on to be pro, but there's a ton of advantages that you get being a student athlete if you take advantage of what you've been given and treat it like that opportunity instead of it owes me. No, take it and really own it, and you're going to excel then afterwards. Sorry, that went on. See, I was telling Callie earlier, I chase rabbits, and I just went on a rabbit trail there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it was very good. I mean, it's very good team first attitude, you know, that you exhibited. It's very impressive. Faith, we've got a question. Someone has asked a question. I think this is a setup, okay? But I know you'll be able to handle it. The question is, while she is reminiscing, ask her if she remembers her roommates from her sophomore year.
My roommates from my sophomore year. Of course, is that Michelle Cooper who sent that one in? Or
Yeah, she didn't put her name. It just said anonymous, but you would probably could guess who it is.
I mean, I had so many. Those teammates were the absolute best. I mean, there were so many wonderful teammates that I listed some of them, and periodically we'll see each other. And the best thing about this is, you know, once you've played with a team before, even when you get back together, you've got that bond like you hadn't been away for all those years. It's just that specialness that when you've played with a team and you have sweated, and I won't go through all of it because you all know, but you know, you've just built that bond to when you see each other again, it's like you haven't been apart for so many years. And that's the cool thing. When I see these ladies again at any event, it's like, oh, I'm gonna hug your neck, and it just brings back all those great memories. Phyllis Gamble was one of those, and I see her quite often because we have season tickets to all of the different events, and we kind of sit next to each other. But it's great. It's the camaraderie has been great with
very good. Yes, she says it was a setup. I was actually her suite mate. So there you go. Okay, another question. And if you're with us and you would like to ask Faith a question, just go to that Q&A bar down at the bottom and type it in. Another one, Faith, is what was the biggest determining factor for your sons to pursue Baylor for college?
Oh, that's a great question. And Mike and I have to think through this because I think when they went on campus, I think that was the thing that really sold it to them. Mike and I did not push Baylor. We have always, and we didn't push sports on any of our kids either, yet they all played in sports. We wanted them to make the decision and not be the parents that said, you have to play this and you have to do that. So we said, whatever you choose to do before they got to college or whatever, I said, you have to, if you commit to it and you say you're going to do it, you have to play the whole season because you've taken someone else's position. So they grew up learning that type of thing. And one of the things that I always said to them every single day, and they will laugh at this, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So whatever it is that you want to do, you know you have someone that can help you on that way. So then along that pathway, they picked out their schools that they were thinking about going to based on at things that they thought they wanted to do with their future career and so on and so forth. But then when they visited Baylor, it just drew them in. I mean, because I had one son who was for sure, he was going to A&M, you know, he would A&M and all the time. And then he did the A&M one. I went with him on 2 or 3 different college visits. And when he did the Baylor one, I think this is a place for me. So those are the things that, you know, when you walk on that Baylor campus and you feel that camaraderie and you just, you know, God lets you know this is where you need to be. It's just, sorry for those people that are not, you know, I think everyone with this, I can talk God, but he directs your path. And if you listen, so I don't know if that answered their question very well.
No, I think it did very well. So your path took a turn. You were here your first 2 years. There was a coaching change with Baylor women's basketball. and you transferred. You left Baylor, went to TWU, and finished your last 2 years there. What was that like? What was that period like when, you know, you love Baylor, we know that, but you're leaving Baylor to go to another school?
You know, that was a tough decision because, again, like I mentioned earlier, when new coaches come in, they come in for a reason. So the leadership thought we needed to have a change. We needed to develop our program, yeah, and have it go in a different direction, and which is totally fine. I'm not disagreeing on that. I think that's definitely what's needed. But I was brought in under a certain thought process by Coach Olga Fallen. And then the new coach comes in and her game plan was a little bit different than Olga's game plan, as it should have been. And so my skill set might not have been exactly what she was looking for to meet her objectives. Yet I still believed that God wanted me to play basketball. I was already married. I was already engaged to Mike. So it's not like I didn't have a commitment. Mike was graduating. And so I still felt like I was supposed to play basketball. And I've always been one of those, I wish God would send me a note, you know, that I could physically read, but he doesn't do that for me. He opens doors and he closes doors. And if the door is still open, that door was open. And I went to play there because that was a coach that I knew what his main focus was. He was a very strong fundamental coach. It was just one of those things. We had not beaten them when we were in Duncanville. So I knew the type of coach that he was. And so that was why I transferred to TW. It was a tough thing to do. And it worked out anyways. It worked out for the best because I wouldn't do anything different again. I would change some of the stupid decisions that I have made that were just, you know, foolish as an 18-year-old, but I wouldn't change these bigger decisions because they helped mold me and make me into who I am today. And they had a reason and a purpose. And then I don't know if that answered it, but that's kind of what this.
And it was Bob Schneider, right? Who was the coach?
Yes. And you know, Bob Schneider's record was phenomenal. He was put up as one of the Hall of Famers for the Women's Hall of Fame. And so he's a true basketball wizard. So.
And Baylor and TWU did not play in those 2 years you were there, did they? In the 2 years you were at TWU?
Okay, so now I'm going to say this, and this will be the only thing that I'm going to, okay. When we played TWU and when myself and a couple of other teammates that moved at that time, we played TWU, and when at Baylor that year, we beat them. And then when we moved to TWU, we played Baylor and TWU beat them.
Okay, there you go.
Sorry, it was I just had to say that, but okay, I'm not going to say it.
That's just factual. That's just fact.
It is. It's a fact. I'm not making anything up on that. You can look up the records. So, and speaking of TWU, I played Dr. Livingstone. TWU played Oklahoma State at that time. So I got to play. I don't remember either. I mean, both of us are going, we can't remember a lot of that. We just know we played, and I looked it up, and sure enough, we played Oklahoma State. So
that's great.
Yeah.
That is great. You have been involved with Baylor so long. I mean, came here, played 2 years, and even transferring out, you came back to Baylor because you've been involved with Baylor in so many ways. Walter mentioned it earlier as on the board of the B Association, and then the president of the board, first female in that role. That's blazing some ground. I mean, that's trailblazing for you to be in that position.
Well, let me tell you what, Dutch. When Dutch asked me, it was 2003, and he called me up and he said, Faith, would you be willing to be on the board? I said, Dutch, you realize I didn't graduate from Baylor. He says, that doesn't matter. What we're trying to do, you went to Baylor, you played at Baylor, you lettered at Baylor, you love Baylor. I said, yeah, I do. He says, we are trying to help women athletes know that they are welcome into the B Association. It is not just an old boys club. We want the women to know that this association is for all athletes. And I need you to help us because we need more women representation. I said, okay, again, like I said, God opens the doors, and if he opens the door, I'm thinking, okay, fine, I'll go through it. If he shuts it, fine. But then at least I know that's been always my gauge. And sure enough, then I don't know if I made much of a difference, but I know that it was fun. We tried many things to try to get more women involved, try to figure out why women aren't involved right at the beginning, like men are. And part of the reason is usually the women are having the children. And then when the children come along, who's taking care of the children, and they're, and the husband usually has a little more flexibility to go to some of these events, whereas usually the woman is taking care of the small children and those types of things. So we tried to come up with events, and Walter made this big difference when we brought him on because he came on as our full-time director the same year that I was president.
Okay.
And he had so many great ideas to help engage the women. And so we've had reunions at the basketball arena. He's done many different things to help engage our women athletes back into feeling that, this organization cares about them as well. And I don't know that we're there yet. We keep working on it. I know we've had great women presidents after me, and I'm so proud of what they've been able to accomplish. Yeah. So, and if I was the first one to open the door, great. It's the ones after that have made a great difference.
Well, you've certainly done your part, more than your part. Now, representing the Bee Association on the Board of Regents, how do you like that role as a Board of Regent member?
It's an honor. It is totally an honor to represent the Bee Association and all of the athletes who have come before. And it's daunting, but it's actually inspiring as well, because we as athletes have such an impact out in the world, whether it is you are a Walter Abercrombie or a Mike Singletary or any of those that making great impacts at the professional level. But just think about all of those athletes that didn't go pro, but are now running companies, that are leading students and employees in the right ways to go. God's ways, and those are the key factors. And because as athletes, we have the opportunity to learn things in a situation that maybe not all other students do, because we learn the leadership aspect of it. We learn the teamwork aspect of it. We learn delivering under pressure. There's a lot of those things that we learn while we're playing, and we're also getting our education, that maybe we can hit the ground running a little faster than maybe the average student. And I'm not saying we're better than anybody else. Don't get me wrong on that one. We're not at all. But we've gotten opportunities because of the abilities God has given us to play a sport. And it's our responsibility to utilize those to illuminate what God can do in the world, and also be that one to come up with that new invention, or be that one that, I think being on the board for Baylor, the Bee Association, is very much an honor, and I'll do all that I can to make sure that we are represented in the most effective way, so that Baylor continues to shine the light out there in the world.
Very good. So, very good. It's an important role, that you serve and the Regents serve. So thank you for that. Thank you for giving back to Baylor in that way. We have questions. Our Q&A is open. If anyone has a question, just type it in and we'll get it to Faith. Now's a good time to do that. Could you identify a favorite memory of your time at Baylor, whether it's as a student, whether it's as an athlete, maybe it's something else, after meeting Mike Beaty?
Okay, thank you. Okay.
That's obviously number one, right?
Thank you.
What would be a favorite memory after that?
Thank you for saving me on that one, because if I didn't say that was my favorite one, I would, because remember, I have to, he's in the other room, so I have to, yeah.
That's a given. I mean, that's just a given. So after that one, anything come to mind?
Yeah. One of the things was because I remember I talked about Heart of Texas Coliseum, yes, and also about my ability to learn to shoot. And and so this is like the 10th game into our freshman year. So they're on the floor. We have just a few seconds left in the game, and we're playing Minnesota. Minnesota has come all the way down. And at the time, teams for women's athletics, did not travel usually that far for a game that was not within their region, if you will, or within their group of teams. But Minnesota was trying to get better. And so they felt like they had a lot of different teams that they were playing to be able to strengthen. So they come to Baylor, and we're playing the Heart Attacks Coliseum. We're down 71. We are up 72-71. We have less than 1 second left. Unfortunately, Christy Capps is out on the floor. Michelle Cooper's out there. I'm out there, and Gwen Miller. So we're all out there. The last second, all we have to do is keep from fouling. I won't say who fouled. It wasn't me, but we fouled. And so now we've got them on the line. We could lose this game. It was very, very close, but the crowd at the Heart Attacks Coliseum, they probably scared that poor girl, because I mean, they were so loud. They were all there ready to watch the next game. Right. And they helped us. And so that memory sticks in my mind and then just as she misses, I go up and I grab the rebound and I come down, and then the buzzer goes off. I don't know what would happen if the buzzer had gone off. I probably dropped the ball and gone out of bounds or something, but still, that was one. And that was kind of a turning point for us, because we were then now 5-5. We'd lost 5 games, and now we are 5. And so then we ended up that year, I can't remember if it was like 17-13 or something like that. But at least we ended up having a winning season that year with a bunch of freshmen and sophomores. Nice. And Carol, unfortunately, Carol Reeves would have been out there, but she hurt her knee in the very first game. Yeah. So now all of a sudden, I'm stuck at 5'11 3/4, which we listed me at 6'1", but I was 5'11 3/4, and I was the post. So there's Mamie Mock and myself back there at post, and she's 6 foot and a 5'11 3/4, and we're playing 6'3 and 6'5 people. So it was a good learning. So that was my favorite. When I think from that, personally, of course, was Mike Beaty. So those were my fondest memories, besides all of those teammates and those fun times that we had together, and doing crazy things that were legal, but doing fun things. So.
Yeah, very good. All right, here's a question from someone that has zoomed in with us today. Question is, what are your thoughts on the plans for the new basketball arena?
I think I can't wait. Of course, COVID has kind of thrown a little bit of a curve with all of us right now. We don't know what tomorrow holds, but when we can make sure that we have that arena, I think that will be awesome. Continuing to update that arena is great.
I'm sure it was a good answer.
Who knows?
Okay, very good. Time for more questions if anybody has any questions. And was your answer, I didn't hear your answer. Was your answer as a former women's basketball player, or as a current regent about the new basketball arena? It was as a former basketball player.
Yes. And I think that's really only the way I can answer. From a basketball player's perspective, I think it's exciting and the right thing to do. And it will continue to help the university.
Very good. Tell us, you're in the Houston area now, is that right? And what are you doing now?
Actually, I live in Dallas. So one of the things that has happened with COVID is it's put us all into a sense of working virtually, right? So you don't really have to be in one location. My corporate offices, so I work for DNVGL. DNVGL is an international company, and I'm going to say this one time and people will go, huh? The DNVGL stands for Det Norske Verftsgemenskap. So that's why we say DNVGL. It is a Norwegian company, and it merged, it's been around since 1864. So it's not a new player on the block. I've been with them for over 23 plus years. And who would have thought that I would have been with one company that many years? Taking some of the things that I'd said earlier about what you learn as an athlete, that is this company that I work for, whose main purpose is safeguarding life, property, and the environment, resounds with me. And so that's one of the reasons that I have stayed all of these years. Thankfully that they have wanted me to stay all of these years with them. And I'm the director of the marketing and communications for the Americas. So that's North America and South America. Right. I've had multiple roles within the organization. I ran my region for 4 years. So I was the president of the region for 4 years. And I've done about everything that you can think of with this company. And I say that because that's an important thing about being an athlete is when you're called on to do something, whether it means change your position. Oh, no, I'm the quarterback. I can't play whatever. Or no, I need to be a post. No, you need to play forward. Okay, so those are the things that you need to be, you hopefully have learned to adjust when you were an athlete. You can do the same thing when you're in business as well. Sure, for the team, for the overall good of what we're trying to accomplish, if you believe in what we're trying to accomplish, then yeah, it's for the good of, and so that's why I've done so many different things within the company. And I appreciate the opportunity that they've allowed me to be able to do that. And if I didn't know how to do something, again, there's that thing. If the door opens up and I'll go, sure, I'll do that. Yeah, I had no clue what I was doing at many of them, to be honest with you. But if God opened the door, then who am I to say, no, he doesn't want me in that position to go. So our corporate offices for North America are in Houston, Texas. Okay. And Mike and I and our family lived in Houston for many years. Right. And then I took another position with them, and it just meant I just need to be near an airport. Mike had, his company had wanted him up here, so we just moved up to Dallas. Gotcha. I've been, as I said, with the company so many years. I know many of the people that I don't need to be there physically every single day. So virtually, I was doing that quite a bit anyways. So this has just been an extension of that. Now my whole teams all work virtually. And now we're kind of ready to get back to visiting, face to face. But as a company, we are really, again, safeguarding life, property, and the environment. It's very important that we safeguard the lives of our employees, because what we deliver, we are a risk management company, and we deliver services that utilize personnel. And those personnel are deliverable, and we have to take care of those personnel critically so that they are safe. Sometimes we do have to go on site. We've switched. We've had to transition the way we do business, just like we've had to transition the way we do university, right? We have to be flexible. We have to take technology that is available now and be able to utilize it for the better of what tomorrow is going to look like. And I wish I knew the answer. I wish I had that crystal ball of what tomorrow is going to look like. I don't. But just like the university, and I am so impressed with the things that Dr. Livingstone and her team have been able to implement at the university. It's just amazing. Her team has done such a fabulous job of making sure that our university is a viable university, that we're safe for people to come back on campus. And if not, what do we do if something happens? We've got great plans in place for that. I mean, it's quite amazing. And I have to make sure that I don't say anything I'm not supposed to say here, but it's just quite amazing what her teams have done. And I'm so impressed and proud of all of and you're part of that, John, as being an employee there at the university. You guys are doing such great things to really make sure that Baylor is that experience for our students, that experience for our student athletes, as well as that light out in the world to make a difference. And so kudos to all of you guys. It's great.
Very good. I'm curious, with a maiden name like Cedarholm, is there any connection between that and you working for a Norwegian company?
It is, no, it had nothing to do with it at that time, but I am Swedish. So I'm half Swedish, and the other half is just like every American person born here in America. You're a hodgepodge of all of these different nationalities. But it has been fun. I as a missionary's child, I lived in Brazil for 7 years. So I've got a little bit of a difference than I guess most people who are just, spend most of their time in the US, but I've got a nice variety there that I think has given me a little bit of a world look on things versus just so much a Texas look on things. So.
All right, we got another question from our audience, and this is a good one. What is your opinion of Kim Mulkey and her team this season?
First of all, my opinion of Kim Mulkey is she is a phenomenal coach. The fundamentals, you know how I love fundamentals anyways, but it's just, she knows what it takes to win, and she knows how to get the right players and how to get them involved. And she's done it again this year. It's going to be phenomenal.